Okay.
Namaste. Well, namaste, and welcome back to Noiretalk. And we got our let me tell y'all, this woman here, I've been watching for years behind the scenes on Instagram. And she's my influence. She's my influence, and I know she's a lot of people's influence just by her style and grace.
Thank you.
Also known as City in the City. And when I tell you, I've been following you for a long time, and then we've had a few mutual friends trickle in. I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows X, Y, and Z. And I think we met officially at the pop-up that Rihanna put. Yep, she did in New Jersey, and you came with your daughter. You are a mother of 3.
Yes.
And like fabulous and fine girl.
Oh, thank you.
To me, you're a rock star mom, but we talked about this briefly about the idea that people have that being a mom is not a rock star life. It is very hard work, and you have to be mindful. But I think a lot of people assume seeing you and your page, and that I'm sure that gets annoying as hell.
Yes.
So I want you to say, who is Ken? What do you want the people to know about you?
So I'll answer in 2 ways.
Yes.
So Ken is a multifaceted woman.
Yes, she is.
Spiritual being, having a physical experience. I'm a mom. That's really important to me. So I think when people see me outside of my children, they don't know I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know I'm a mom. I love being a mom. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter. But I think above it all, I think I'm just a multidimensional woman.
Yeah.
So many different layers to me.
And you're fashion. Not even like fashionable. You are fashion.
Well, thank you.
Yes. There's a few women of color on Instagram that I'm just like, where I want to go where they're going.
Yeah.
You know, and you've always like lit the path. Yeah. And I think that, you know, recently not even recently, I feel like in the last couple of years, you've been speaking a lot more towards spirituality, regimen. We're in a 5 a.m. challenge together. I'm just like, you don't even need the challenge. You've been about this life.
She's been waking up.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, like, the conversations are funny, too, on this this group challenge chat.
Yes.
But how did you get more in touch with your spirituality? Because I feel like when you're so enthralled in fashion and mothership and all these other things going on in the world, how did you connect to spirituality for yourself?
For me, I think, so I'm still learning and I'm still growing and I'm still learning about what spirituality all means to me. But for me, I hit rock bottom after a divorce. And I found myself feeling sort of lost, if you will. And I think that led me to therapy.
Yeah.
And therapy sort of led me down this path of self-love and self-care and sort of just sort of like sitting and centering myself into self-love. And through that, I discovered, spirituality. So I was raised in a very sort of Christian household, if you will, and I was very confused about a lot of things, about the religion. You couldn't really ask a lot of questions, and so I was just like, this is some bullshit. Like,
and
what do
your
you
family's
mean?
from
Guyana.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my mom was like really, really deep into the church. So we would go to like Bible studies, on a Thursday night and prayer meetings on a Tuesday, and Sunday we would be at church. And so I grew up in the church, but I was confused about a lot. And I was just like, well, I don't know. So I grew up rebelling against,
religion.
Sort of, And so when I learned about spirituality, I'm still learning about it, but the more I learned, the more intrigued I became, and I was just like, wow, so we're like all spiritual beings, and I can control my mind with my thoughts, and I can change the way I feel by just thinking. So I think I came into my higher self being at my lowest point in my life. So that's how I truly discover it, and I'm still on this path of unlearning and healing, and so
And it's strange because it's like when you have a presence on social media, sometimes it's hard to cut away from it, and people are so nosy in your business, and you have to maintain or you cut away. And I'm sure you did what you had to do during that time, because
Yeah.
I've been following you for years, and I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that there
Yeah.
was something happening in that
Right.
in that way for
Yeah.
you. How did the spirituality tapping in and trickling through you, how did that trickle down to your kids? And how did that affect them? How are you working through that with them? Because being
Yeah.
Caribbean,
Right.
religion is very detailed with us, and you're
Very
right.
ingrained. Yeah.
There's no question asking. It's just sheep like
yeah.
would follow.
That's where you go. Right.
So for you being brought up in that way, how are you showing this difference to your kids now?
Yeah. I think at first it was very confusing for the kids because in some ways I transformed right before their eyes, which was a good thing. But I think in the beginning it was weird because it was weird in that, I was going through this separation. We went from being in one house, one home, under one roof, doing things together as a family, and now it's like it's just mommy and me.
Yeah.
And daddy's here, and then mommy all of a sudden wants to do all these different things, and it's just like, I've never seen you do these things while you were with daddy. So it's just like, so I think that was a bit confusing for them.
Okay.
But it created such a strong bond between the kids and myself, to the point where my son I'll meditate and he'll come sit with me and meditate with me.
I love that.
My daughter, who started middle school 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I'm getting me, but
She's a genius. All of them are
right,
geniuses.
and she so part of her curriculum was about mindfulness, and so she
Okay.
started learning about it in school. My son, who's now in his first year of middle school, is also doing it, and so I was happy because they weren't introduced to it just at school. So it started in the home
Right.
through my own journey, right?
Yes.
And I think for the kids and my relationship with them, it served us all very well. Like my daughter Ariel, if you follow her, you'll know that she's very into a lot of, motivational quotes and just speaking positivity into her community, you know,
Yes.
by her morning, quotes on her Instagram stories, and just, just overall, she's just generally a positive person, right?
Shout out to Sweet 11.
And Sydney is just very calm, and, and I think in more ways than when she was always like that, but my son RJ, he was more like, rambunctious like his mama, but I think it served them well, right?
Okay.
Because now they have a more sort of centered mom, a mom that listens for understanding. So it trickled in a very fast, but in a really good way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I think it's changing the narrative for them, and also for me as a mom, and for them having a mom such as myself. So
Yeah. It seems serendipitous with the schooling. I feel like school has evolved in many ways, and
Yeah.
I know you work hard to get your kids in these
Where they at?
schools, and
Amen.
they interview really well, all the
Amen, amen.
things. So it's great that now this generation coming up are involved in a lot more mindfulness talks and being vulnerable, being open to different types of personalities, and understanding how to match and mirror, because when we were in school, this wasn't the case.
No.
It was just one way or the highway, right?
Exactly. It's like,
And that, I think it seems so timely. And, were you vulnerable with them? Like, were you able to explain what you were learning yourself?
At one point, in the beginning, no. But as I learned more about myself, as I learned more about, just conscious living, if you will,
Yes.
I learned that it was so important for me to be vulnerable with them, in a sense that this is what's going on, and not to pass blame on them, and not to make them feel guilty for what was happening, right? And just sort of teaching them and being completely transparent with what was happening in my life, and why I was doing the things that I were doing, because they were helping me, right? And we oftentimes think that kids don't know what's happening. They know what's going on, all the time.
Yeah,
All
they
the
pick
time.
up on
all the
it.
time. They feel it.
Yes.
They sense it. They know what's going on. And for the most part, they can help you through it. You know what I mean? They can help you through whatever it is that's going on. You know what I mean? They may not be able to help the way an adult would help, right? But they can help, right? Because for me, I stayed in a relationship partly because I was afraid that my daughter was going to see me as a failure, right? That my daughter was going to be disappointed and that I was going to somehow, I was destroying her life, so to speak, right? And that wasn't the case. She was like, Mom, you've been a single mom. And I was like, oops.
She picked it up.
Right, so she knew, like she felt it. And it was liberating. It was so freeing. I was like, oh, well, you mean to tell me all these goddamn years I've been sitting here?
Right.
What?
You cool if we roll?
Let's go.
I love that.
Yeah. So a lot of times we're thinking about them in ways, you know, obviously in a very protective manner, right? And it's just like, listen, they're a human being. You're a human being. You're their mom, like you're a vessel, you brought them into the world, but they're still their own individuals, right? And they still have their own needs and their own wants, and they're dope in their own right, you know what I mean? And so when we think we're protecting them, it's really us protecting our goddamn selves.
Exactly.
And so we just need to let it go, just be transparent, and whatever will come out of it will come out of it, but you gotta keep it real with yourself too, you know what I mean? So for me, a lot of it was not keeping it real with myself, not putting myself first, staying in situations, staying in room, not voicing how I was feeling, right? Because it was just like, well, that ain't it. That ain't what society wants, and that's not what society permits, and that's not what the family would want. Like, how do you walk away from the situation after 13, 14 years with 2 kids, and you got another one, and like, what they gonna say about you, girl, right? And I stayed. And so it was just freeing to hear her say that once I became, you know, I was vulnerable with her. And she was like, let's go. Let's rock and roll.
I think a lot of women definitely stay in place because they're embarrassed. They're scared to start over.
Yeah.
They're scared to disappoint other people that are probably rooting for them to move forward with themselves.
Or use them as an example.
Yeah.
It's like, don't use me as an example.
So I definitely hope whoever is watching and hearing this, that if they're going through something similar, the best thing to do is to step out.
Step out on faith.
Because it's better for you in the long run, for your happiness. And it's, you know, if you stay put in something that doesn't feel good, then it's going to affect you and other people around you.
True.
The fact that you have such high self-awareness, though, that you can look back and be like, no, that I wasn't serving myself well. That wasn't the right thing that I did, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Is that something that you felt prior to moving forward and tapping into spirituality? Or is that something, because you talk about therapy, which for Caribbean Black women,
that ain't it, girl.
We don't talk about it out loud. And even for men as well. And I like the topic of therapy so much because I've gotten into therapy during different seasons of my life when I knew I was like, I'm really burnt out. And it doesn't have to be constant, but you make a lot of self-realizations when someone's sitting with you and going through your mental filing cabinet and organizing you. Yeah. So when you had this self-awareness lightened up, was it in therapy? Yeah.
Because I think if I had, like, there was this thing inside of my gut that I kind of knew, like, all right,
like
this ain't
yourself?
it. Right.
Okay.
Like when I was, you know, be it at a job, be it in a relationship, be it in a relationship with a friend, right? Let's use that as an example. Like, I've stayed in toxic friendships just for the sake of not wanting to hurt the other person. So what I learned in therapy was I was putting everyone else first, everyone else, including my children, because we do that, right? And it's like, you're supposed to do that. No, you're not supposed to do that, right? For me, that's what I learned, right? And I live by it. If you're not well, you can't pour into anyone else.
Not even your children.
And you can't, for me, my cup needs to be full for me to pour into anyone else. Because if I'm pouring from a half empty cup, then I'm depleted.
Yeah.
Right? But if I'm pouring from a cup that's runneth over,
Yes.
then I have a full cup.
Yes,
then
runneth over.
Up, right? So then I can show up as my whole self. And I don't remember the question, but
I said, no, I wanted to know when you realize about self-awareness. Yeah, therapy.
So so therapy gave me the tools and the techniques to sort of just really say, this is what's happening and this is what I need to do. Whereas, you know, there was these things that were happening inside of my stomach, and I like to call it discernment or your intuition, if you will. But I wouldn't do anything about it. I would just stay like, I gotta stay. I can't leave, right? But through therapy, I learned about self-love. And once I learned about self-love, discipline came. And then it was just like the boundaries came for me, and it was just like, you're not gonna treat me like that. You're not gonna talk to me like that. Like, and then the self-awareness, I feel like, was always there. It just wasn't activated, if that makes sense. Yeah, right? And therapy 100%. Helped with that.
I get that.
And then everything else was a game changer after that. It was like, what? You're not gonna talk to me like that. Nope, I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting that. This is me. This is what I need to feel whole and to be whole and show up as my whole self, right?
Yeah.
I like to refer to myself at work and outside of work as radically authentic, right?
Yeah.
Like every space I show up in, I'm the same person. Like this is what you're gonna get, right? And if you don't get that aspect of me, then
the boundary.
That's it. Like,
stay on that side.
Like, you stay there and I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, no, I'm gonna do this because it's the right thing to do. But I'm over here, my spirit is telling me, no, girl, that ain't it. Don't extend yourself. Don't go on that vacation with them. Don't go to that family barbecue. Don't do that. No, don't pick up her phone call. Because all she want to do is gossip. Don't do that. That's all self-love for me.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned. People don't talk about it. It's like very cliche. It's like, no, self-love is like, you
pampering your face. No.
Got to set some boundaries.
The boundaries.
You know what I mean?
I love boundaries so much.
No, get from over here. Go over there. Saying how you truly feel and like meaning what you say too. Like I was the yes girl for like everybody in my life. For my family, my coworkers, my
draining.
Friendships. What?
It's draining.
Girl, talk about it. I used to be sad and still show up for people. And then I was just like, I remember this one time I was having a birthday party for my daughter. And it was the first birthday party. Shout out to Emerald, man. Emerald's been rocking with me forever. But this was my girlfriend, and we worked at NYU. And I remember sitting in my office and saying to her, hey, girl, I'm having this party. She's like, why do you look so stressed? Your daughter's turning 10, I think she was turning, or maybe 9, I don't remember. And she showed up for me like no one had never ever showed up for me. And she showed up in the space and she decorated and she helped me put things together, and she was like, what else do you need? And I could not believe it. And then she went home and she came back.
I love that.
And I never had that in my life.
You were always that person for others. Yeah.
Right? But what I learned in that moment is I'm deserving of that. And someone thought I was deserving of that. And I was like, oh shit, me, little old me? And I always thought, no, I'm supposed to pour into people. I'm supposed to do everything. Girl, you don't deserve that. Like I told myself that.
Yeah.
And then I was just tired one day, and I just kind of like unloaded on her in my office. And then she was like, and without not even saying a word, she like made it happen. There was no fights. There was no arguments. It was peaceful. My kids were happy. I was happy. I didn't feel tired. And I was like, whoa. This is different.
And those are the types of friendships that you want to have, not the draining, take, never give, or want to be equal, or even want to ask, how are you doing, and actually care to hear the answer. And dig deeper. Those, and I feel that a lot of people don't understand how to handle boundaries, and they don't apply it where it's actually needed. Like, having boundaries with strangers, okay, that's one thing. But family and them friends that you've had for hundreds of years need to take some break.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you stop answering the call so much or showing up for every single little thing and they never show up for you or ask you if they need to show up at any point. That's when you realize, like, I'm cool. I'm good here. Yeah. And it feels good. I feel safe.
And you have to allow yourself to feel, to like just sit in it and feel it, like truly feel it. I don't know if I'm making sense. No,
when you said that you realized that you were deserving, that's what I take sitting in. It's like I deserve this. I poured a lot out, so this is I'm gonna say thank you. And when it's my turn to return that energy, I'll do it. I'll show up for it tenfold. That's right. I put a card in people's orders from time to time that says, "Ain't nothing wrong with setting boundaries and sticking to them."
Sticking to them. That's the important part because you can set them. You can set them.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Then when it comes, then when Tom and Harry call, you be like, "All right, I'll be there."
Yep. I used to be at work. Yeah, girl, what you want? Oh, you want me to book a flight? Yeah, you want me to charge your shoes? Yeah, you want me to what else? What else? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. And they'll get mad at me because I didn't do it. Or they get mad at me because I didn't parcel out the time to answer the phone. It's like, what?
The nerve.
You want me to answer the phone to argue with you? Really? Oh, no.
But how do you manage boundaries when your Instagram is popping like yours? Because I know
I don't think it's popping, though.
You don't think it's popping?
No, I think
you
my
are
Instagram's
wildin'. You are wildin'.
Because you know what? I don't think people want to see the real, and I give them the real. Like, I'd be like, I'm not unwrapping that shoes the way you want me to unwrap it. Like, no, the fuck, I paid for it, here you go.
That's like a two-way street. I feel like it's like now we're getting to this phase in the culture where like we love unboxing. For some reason, I do like watching unboxing, I like doing it. But I feel like it's not for everyone to do.
It ain't.
Sometimes it's a bit too much. Like there's got to be a happy medium.
It's
I feel
every day they want to unbox something. Why?
And not to be rude, but I'd be like, y'all be shopping like that. Like I thought I had a problem. Some of these people are really doing hauls and unboxings every other day, and I'm just like. And I'm not judging them as a person. I'm just like, is there anything else that we could talk about? Yeah. But I love when you just are like squeezing the lemon.
Right, that's real shit.
Your coffee, because I'm a coffee lover. And this is what you're saying. Your Instagram is dry. I be like, I want to see her make the coffee. It's the smallest thing.
Things, it's the real life shit.
To me, it's like I'm tapping into your life as well. It's just like, oh, she's alive. She's doing her thing. She's making a coffee.
She's alive.
She showed me the sunrise before the 5 a.m. challenge. I never saw a sunrise, so I would look at yours.
Really?
And be like, she posted the sunrise. It's so beautiful. Now I'm posting a little bit of a sunrise. I'm so serious. She really don't think I'm serious. Like, your Instagram is popping. And the sunrises be fulfilling me in the morning with the lemon squeeze and the hot water.
Right. I think the reason I think it's not popping is because people, I feel like, initially came to the Instagram page or the City in the City page, which is, Ken and City, for the fashion, for the travel, right? It wasn't about beauty. It was about me traveling the world and me just, showing all this fashion and shopping and stuff like that. And I stopped doing that after the separation. Like I couldn't afford to do the shit, right? As much because I became a single parent and I was doing all this other stuff. So I was like restructuring a bit and just my priorities, right? And I was paying for therapy, $40 for copay twice a week, 2 years straight. Don't tell nobody.
I think ain't nothing wrong with some people need to tap into therapy every day.
Therapy was the shit.
I love every Friday at 3 p.m. for me. I love Karen.
I couldn't do Friday. No. I was like Monday and Wednesday.
Those are your days.
Sir. I used to be mad when he would want to cancel. What? Excuse
me,
sir.
It's almost like when your hairstylist goes out of town. It's like, wait a minute, where you going?
Where you going? Don't do that.
And no, whenever Karen goes out of town, I'd be like, so when you coming back though? Like, and then when she comes back, I'm like, are you ready? Because there's 2 weeks worth of stuff I got to unload with you.
A lot of shit to unpack.
But I think people don't understand. It's okay to feel that way.
It is so okay. It's normal and natural and so needed for so many of us.
Like, do it.
Change the
you need it.
Of my life. Yes.
I didn't realize that your what's it called? Your content pivot.
Yeah.
I thought, I really started to catch on to your morning routine more during 2020, where I felt like everybody was going through spiritual awakening anyway. So I just felt, well, isn't this serendipitous? We need to see this.
No.
Because I think in some ways, I do think 2020's happened the way that it did because everyone was just aloof.
Yeah.
And not really tapping in.
For real. Because I remember, like, talking to people, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what shit are you on? And I'm like, oh, okay. No worries.
Well,
Life is good over here, though.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good.
They could stay over there, but eventually a lot of people started to realize, like, holy shit, I'm lost.
Walking around lost. I used to feel super duper sorry for people. Like, I would literally sit there and listen to them talk and watch them.
So
I was
unaware.
the observer, and I was like, oh my God, how many people are walking around amongst us lost, demonic shit? And I'm like,
more than it should be.
More, because they're not aware.
It's the majority.
Literally, there's only about 5% of us that are woke.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Real woke. Before woke got cool.
For real. Like, and you're like, what? Like, people, I'd be like, If you ever in a room with me and I'm in a room with like 15 people or even 10 people, and people start talking and I start typing, and you be like, girl, what you doing? I'm like, I'm
minding my business.
I don't want to engage. I don't, because it's just too much going on over there. And that's how I protect my energy and protect my space, my sanity. But yeah.
This is why I've been wanting to have you on, because I feel that when people are scrolling through and they see the top of it, we see the fashion,
surface level.
the surface. They don't really think about that people are doing work on the back end. Like, I've always known that you were someone who had a good spirit. Like, you can just tell, like, someone who's very involved with their children the way that you are. And when I finally got to, like, meet you guys in person, I noticed from, like, afar, you guys are like a unit.
Yeah.
And RJ wasn't there that day, but you and the girls are just like, and to me, I've always felt like, if I have kids, I want me and my kids to be like gang, gang. We see each other, we can talk through
gang,
the eyeballs.
Bang, bang.
Exactly. And they got your back, they balance you when you're off, and vice versa and all that. It was a very unapologetic thread between the three of you, and I could just see that, and I'm like, I knew she was cool. Like, I knew she was like cool. Not just like, oh, on Instagram, famous. No. But I think it's important for people to understand that there's a human behind a lot of these pages.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're a very good influence in a sense where, you show the fashion, you show the beautiful parts of being a beautiful brown-skinned woman. Like, literally, people just like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
But there's a beautiful soul. And I think having a beautiful soul is way more of a compliment than anything else.
Yeah.
Because you touch people in a different way, and leading up to your newsletter.
Oh,
Truth
talk about
be
it.
told.
It's all true. It's no bullshit, no lies.
So, you write, you journal, you manifest often. When did you start thinking about actually doing the newsletter? Because people requested it, right? Or tell me the story.
So people were like in my DM a lot, and I think a lot of my followers who think they know me personally, and some of them I feel like they do, because they went through this whole journey with me. And then I think it was 2016 or 2017, I believe, I wrote a letter sort of like, just to my audience, talking about my separation and talking about the things I learned and how it was a very transformative year. I think it was the top of 2017. And so people got sort of like, sort of like a view into my life and what was happening or what had happened, because I talked about it after the fact.
Right.
And so people were like, whoa, we didn't know. But that entire year, I was sharing scriptures every morning. And those, for me...
I remember that.
Yeah. So I was going through a lot. And then I would share them, but I was sharing them for me. And I was like, I don't care what people think. Like, I don't care. Like,
it touched your
heart.
My
life is my life. And this, for me, it's helping me heal. And so one day I was like, I wonder if this would help someone else. And I asked the universe, because social media to me, it's so pretend sometimes. It's very pretentious, right? And I'm not a pretentious person. So I was like, fuck y'all. I'm going to share this shit anyway.
You going to read this.
You going to read it or bounce. Like, boom. And I didn't care. Like, I don't care if you follow. I don't care if you unfollow. I don't care. Like, if you here for the ride, be down for the ride.
Yeah.
And so I shared, and people were like, hey, girl. I was like, oh, hi. What?
Hey, girl, hey.
What happened? What? Oh, hi. Oh, yeah. And it was like crazy. And then people started asking me more questions. So what do you do for work? And what do you do? And at the time I was still working at NYU. It's like, oh, so what did you do? And I started like literally feeling like I was mentoring people through my DMs. But that I was sharing all truths about me.
Yes.
About my own experiences. And you know, people, I like to research a lot, and I read a lot, and people would say, oh, well, this person so-and-so shared about this person so-and-so, and I'm just like, nah, but that was written in a book. This actually happened. And they're like, oh, for real? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Like you're not paying attention.
Like, you're not paying attention, right? And so then, anyway, you weed out the crazies, and then you stick with the people who, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And I found myself like, it was like 20 different women from like all across the country. And I was like, oh shit. And so there was one day I was sitting, I was talking to Ari, and she was like, Ma, I think you're so dope, you should do da-da-da-da-da. Because Ari, you know, behind the scenes, I'm like, no, do this, do da-da-da. She was like, you should do something for yourself.
Oh,
and I never thought about doing something for myself. And I felt like that was part of the lack of self-love as well, or maybe just this idea that I had in my mind that I need to make sure that my kids were always good. And so I couldn't do anything for myself, but in turn I needed to do for them and set them up for success and set them up so that they can thrive. But Ari was like, Ma, no, we want to see you do something for yourself. And I was like, Ari, and she was like, Mom, that's it, you're gonna do something for yourself. So she challenged me, and I was like, you ain't gonna challenge me.
She mothered you real quick.
Hold up now. Nah, what? Challenge me? I don't lose. Okay. So the next day,
you got the right one.
What? And I was like, I hit her with something, and she was like, yeah, okay. What else you got? Yeah, because I'm tough on my kids like that, and they're tough. They give it right back, you know? And I was like, I remember writing her. I was like, Ari, I think I got it. She's like, call me. I was like, truths be told. She was like, oh shit, that's it. She's like, oh, so what's truths be told about though? Let me know more. So she turned into like the marketer.
Just working on the title of it.
Yeah. And I was like, this can't be no blog. Nah, nobody want to talk about no damn fashion. Like, what the hell? This, you know.
Plus, it's changing anyway.
It's changing. All these people, these influencers who is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you know. I'm like, I ain't judging nobody, but what are you talking about? So I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I know who I am, and I know my purpose. My purpose is to serve and serve and serve, but also to serve myself, you know? And I was like, what can I do, Lord, that I can fulfill my purpose of servicing others?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do, right? To fulfill my purpose. So it's twofold, right? I'm fulfilling my purpose while helping other women, but with all truths. Like, it's no bullshit. It's like, here is what I've gone through. Here are the things that truly happened, and here is how I recovered, or, you know, survived, thrived, whatever, journey. Right? So that's truly what it is. It's, you know, it's just, it fulfills me. You know what I mean? It's it's a lot of truths.
And I like that you have book suggestions as well at the bottom, so you can just, if they don't understand the message in that newsletter, is it going to be weekly or monthly? It's monthly. It's monthly. You said, don't you do that now.
Don't do that. Ari was like, I got to be twice a month.
So at the top of the month, basically. And so
the 11th of every month.
I see what you did there.
Right.
The numbers are very important.
Yes.
Alignment is. I started this podcast on 11/11.
My birthday.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Every
And that's when I
11.
announced it. Yeah.
That's so intense.
I announced it. I was on the beach in Laguna Beach in California. And I was like, I should tell everybody I'm doing that. I should really tell people. Yeah, I was like, I should take it off the vision board and just tell people.
Yeah.
And I did it, like literally within an hour. I was like, oh, what can I do on Canva? Okay, I could do this. I could create an Instagram. Okay, here you go, boom.
Yeah.
I said it.
So for the year 2021, with your monthly Truth Be Told, what is a goal that you have in mind for the newsletter? Or what do you just like one thing that you wish to see happen with it?
So my goal is just to see sort of women stand in their truths, you know, own who they are, you know, with no apologies, you know, and if my story can help one woman do that, you know, whether it be the resources, you know, that I'm sharing with them, you know, I would love to mentor a woman who is sort of going through some shit. Want to talk about it. You know, I would love to sponsor a woman who may want to do therapy, who may need, not even want, need it, know that they need it, but maybe they don't have the resources. You know what I mean? Just one. And I feel like if I can do that, then the newsletter served its purpose, because it's going to be 11 chapters. And that's it. And I'm done.
Only 11?
Only 11 chapters. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, we shall see, but yeah.
Only 11?
Yeah, 11 chapters.
Wow. Well, for a fact, I feel that someone's going to come to you and say, there was something you said in that you wrote in your newsletter that changed it.
I hope so.
But I feel that's going to manifest for you. And because just by reading what you have already put out for this month and just understanding a little bit more about how you think of women and your experiences, I think it's definitely going to be a life-changing situation. Yeah, for sure. And it's time for you to just step into that glory, just understanding, like, that's your purpose and power. So maybe there'll be a TV show after the 11th chapter.
Maybe there'll be a book.
Maybe there'll be a book. Like, oh my God, like Carrie Bradshaw, but like the black version, fashion version, and spiritual version. All wrapped up in one.
Everything.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So in closing, I'm seeing like all these things that truth be told, like literally. I feel like me and Ari need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because this is popping. Like I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. But in the upward
after dark.
Way.
No, just kidding.
No. But literally, and I know you're gonna drop so many pearls.
Yes, all pearls.
With
oh my God. Can you imagine?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, they're gonna be clutching their pearls, but also making pearls.
Yes.
What is a pearl or a gem or an affirmation that whenever you feel like you're kind of straying or you're not feeling so great, what do you say to yourself that kind of gets you back into alignment with who you feel you are?
It's simple. It's so simple. All I say to myself, like literally, is I'm enough. This too shall pass.
I love that one.
Yeah, I'm enough. Whatever it is, it's like, it's going to pass. It's temporary. You feel it. You got to feel it. Emotions are meant to be felt.
Yes.
Right? It's energy in motion. I don't know if you ever heard that, right?
Energy in motion?
Energy in motion. Emotion, right? It's like joy. You're supposed to feel joy, right? You're supposed to feel sad. People think that, oh, I'm not supposed to be sad. Just don't sit in it.
Yes.
Don't stay there.
Understand it.
Understand it for what it is.
Yes.
Accept it. Move forward.
Exactly.
There to teach you something.
Yes.
And sometimes what we do is we are like, nah, I wanna feel joy again.
Like get over it instead of
no. It's like learn the lesson. Whatever it is, it's there to teach you something.
Yes.
And if you're aware enough, you'll learn it.
Yeah.
Be done with it, and move forward. And that's how you evolve. But you got to allow yourself
to feel
it.
So important. And that is for women and men.
Period.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, like, I'm having this moment where I feel like this is a first, though.
Yeah?
Like,
feel it.
I don't know, but it's because I'm reading a book about it.
Yeah.
Asking it will be given. Oh my God, I never cried on this before. What the hell?
You gotta feel it, girl.
It's something, it's just, wow, okay.
Yeah.
No, and I think understanding your emotion and not trying to fight it or rename it, actually working through it, it's a big deal. And it's so simple. Yeah. And I always say the thing, this too shall pass, but saying you're enough and this too shall pass, that's a big difference.
Big difference. Yeah, I'm enough. Like whatever this is, you know.
I think that I'm grateful.
Yeah.
That what I'm feeling is grateful and just like you moved me.
Yeah.
And
what it's about.
I've always felt that I'm aware, but I know that I'm going through a season where I'm like evolving a little bit more here, and I'm just like, what else can I do?
Cry if you need to.
Yeah.
Cry if you need to.
And just it's been a one hell of a month, and I think having you on, and it's inauguration day as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Yes, this is pre-recorded.
Right.
But no, you're definitely, and I hope when people watch this that they feel the movement that I just felt by you saying that, because it's super important.
Yeah.
You cannot get over things if you ignore your feelings. You have to go through it and understand. Exactly.
Come back right to it.
Yes, it's cyclical. Come back to you. Don't be like, I'm
and
always
then
in the same
time.
thing.
Yeah. And you're like, you're blaming everybody else. Oh, it's you.
It's right.
You.
That's the part.
God sat there, tried to teach you some shit, and you was like, I don't want to feel this way.
Right. Always blaming everyone else, and it's you.
Introspection is so important. So, there you go.
And that's the majority. Well, thank you so much.
Anytime.
For coming by on Noiretalk.
My pleasure.
And we'll definitely, I'm excited for next month's newsletter. What is February going to bring the girls? Oh my God. Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you.